Hi, this is Eve, and it's been a little over a week since I posted my first video, so I thought of working on a second one. This is gonna be a gouache painting with Himi gouache once again, of a little fawn. I took too long to realize the reference image I used was AI, but here we are. So today's painting took a little bit of time because I had to take frequent breaks. I have nerve damage in the same arm that I paint with, so it was a bit difficult this time, but it's getting better, so that's great. Here I am establishing the darkest values for the face of the fawn, just to have a bit of an idea of how I want the colors to develop. And this is a couple neutral tones. I wanted to keep the palette very warm and very orangey, just like most of my paintings. In fact, I really enjoyed this process. I'm working with regular gouache, just like usual. I don't really enjoy acrylic gouache. I find acrylic gouache to be really not suited for the way I work. Even though I would like to try different media, I think the fact that gouache reactivates, designer gouache reactivates, actually works very well with my type of style. I was looking into getting a new set of gouache. I wanted to get Winsor & Newton designer's gouache, but I am still pondering because the Himi gouache that I'm using here is from, I bought it this month, so it would be a bit too much to buy two sets in the same month. Not that I don't want to use my Himi, I really enjoy my Himi. I just really like trying new art supplies, obviously. As you can see, I always work by blocking a section underneath and then going with a very small liner brush and with very small strokes building on top of the flat portion that I created beforehand. And I don't really do flats of the whole painting. I just work in sections, and this really helps me not forget, because sometimes I look back at my pieces and I think, oh, I should have added highlights to this part, and I forgot. So working in smaller sections makes me work a little bit better. Obviously, working this way makes it so that I spend a lot of time on a single painting, and I struggle to get out of the optic of having a finished piece in, for example, my sketchbooks. I always go for that finished piece, polished look, and that's not really good when you need to just use your sketchbook just to improve your art, right? So I'm still trying to learn how to work with a flat brush quicker, just to understand the concept of values and the way you can put colors together to create an image, because the way I do it definitely isn't suited for learning things like these, because it takes way too much time. Anyways, I decided to work on this very autumn themed, oh, this is really shaky, I'm so sorry, this autumn themed painting, because I kind of miss it, because in Italy, I am from North Italy, and it's really cold, because I'm very close to the Alps, so it's not Sicily like people think of Italy. They think of the seaside and stuff like that. That's not where I'm from. So it's really cold and it's been snowing, so I kind of miss my orangey autumn. Autumn is my favorite season. I still really like winter. I like snow. It's just that I miss everything being orange. Also, because of the fact that I couldn't really work for over a week on any kind of painting because of my arm not functioning properly, I noticed that the pans, the little, I don't even know if you call them pans, but the gouache little containers dried out a little bit. They're not like so dry that you need to rehydrate them, but they did dry out a little bit. And I'm very concerned about them getting moldy if I don't touch them for like a couple weeks. So I thoroughly sprayed the paints with some alcohol. And this is another reason why I wanted the Winsor & Newton gouache, because I know that I can just close the tube and the tube is reliable. I have a set of Royal Tolerance gouache. There's like, I'm not kidding, 6 or 7 years old, and it's still perfectly fine, and it's in a tube. Obviously, the more surface is exposed, the more your paints are susceptible for mold and drying out, which I knew when I bought the Hemi, but the Hemi is just really pleasant to work with, like really nice to look at, and it just makes me want to paint. So that's the main reason why I got it. In this part of the painting is when my arm started to get a bit strained. I was pushing a bit too hard, so the amount of detail definitely went down from now on. The body part, I didn't really pay much attention to the body, nor did I with the leaves. I'm glad that the main course of the painting is the face of the fawn. So the face of the fawn came out okay because my arm wasn't tired yet. But overall, I think the fact that I didn't add too many details to the body and the leaves actually made the face stand out more. So I don't know if it's a bad thing that I didn't work in so much detail on the body. This is one of my favorite parts in every painting, adding a little bit of highlights in the eyes of the animals. One fun fact about me is that I didn't used to draw or paint much animals or botanicals in general, but I was mainly one of those artists that only work on humans. I would work on like cartoonish, semi-realistic and anime styles humans. Like those were my main focuses, and then one day it just clicked and I decided to completely change the subjects of my work, and I'm glad I switched. Not because I don't enjoy that kind of art, I love it, but it really freed me from forcing myself to create only like specific things. Now I don't really care about only working on humans, for example, only working on animals, only working on botanicals, only working on mushrooms. I feel more free. I can work on different things, and before I was just strictly drawing humans. Final part of the painting, I added a little bit of yellow in the background. I thought it was fitting with the rest of the painting. And here we are. I hope you enjoyed my video. Bye!